If sarcasm burned calories, I'd be ripped by now. Instead, I'm Nick Daley, 38, sitting in my Boston penthouse overlooking the Charles River, watching my wife Isabelle get ready for another girls' night out. The fourth one this month. "You sure you don't mind me going out again?" Izzy asks, applying lipstick that costs more than most people's grocery budget. She's stunning, always has been. Blonde hair that catches light like spun gold, legs that go on for miles, and a smile that could sell ice to Eskimos, which, coincidentally, is exactly what she does in her PR job. "Of course not, babe," I lie smoothly, adjusting my laptop screen. "I've got some server maintenance to finish anyway." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. That's what I do, IT architecture for mid-sized companies. Not glamorous, but it pays well enough to afford this place and Izzy's expensive tastes. Her family thinks I'm some kind of computer wizard, which isn't entirely wrong. I just prefer they don't know exactly how good I am with digital forensics. Izzy kisses my forehead, leaving a lipstick mark I'll probably forget to wipe off. Lauren and Amanda are picking me up. We're trying that new wine bar in Back Bay. Lauren Morrison now, is Izzy's college roommate turned social media influencer. She's got 50,000 followers who hang on her every restaurant recommendation and outfit choice. Amanda Hartwell comes from old Boston money and treats spending like an Olympic sport. Together, they form Izzy's inner circle of privileged chaos. "Have fun," I say, already turning back to my screen. "Don't let Amanda talk you into buying another purse that costs more than my car payment." Izzy laughs, but it sounds forced. "You're so dramatic. I'll be home by midnight." She won't be. She's been getting home closer to 2 a.m. lately, always with elaborate stories about how time just flew by. I've been married to this woman for 6 years. I know when she's lying. After she leaves, I pour myself a bourbon and settle into my leather chair. The apartment feels too quiet without her chatter filling the space. We bought this place 3 years ago, right after I landed the contract with Harlan Industries. That's Izzy's family business. Her father Richard started it as a small manufacturing company in the 80s, and it's grown into a decent-sized operation, making specialized industrial equipment. Richard Harlan is a good man, if a bit old-fashioned. He treats me like the son he never had, especially since Izzy's younger brother Danny is about as useful as a chocolate teapot when it comes to business. Danny's 28 and still figuring out what he wants to be when he grows up, currently holding a do-nothing position as junior executive at Daddy's company. My phone buzzes with a text from Tony Castellano, my neighbor and former Boston PD detective. "Beer later, wife's at book club." Tony lives 2 floors down with his wife Maria. He retired early after taking a bullet in the shoulder during a domestic violence call gone wrong. Now he does private security consulting and drinks too much coffee. We bonded over our mutual appreciation for sarcasm and craft beer. "Sure," I text back. Izzy's out with the usual suspects. 20 minutes later, Tony's at my door with a 6-pack of Sam Adams. He's got that cop look even in retirement, alert eyes that miss nothing, graying hair cut military short, and a way of standing that says he's ready for trouble. "So," he says, settling into my couch, "how long you gonna pretend you don't know what's going on?" This is why I like Tony. No bullshit, straight to the point. "What do you mean?" I ask, though we both know exactly what he means. "Come on, Nick. I've been watching people lie for 25 years. Your wife's having an affair." The words hang in the air like smoke. I take a long pull of my beer before answering. "I know." "You know? That's it? No yelling, no throwing things, no hiring me to follow her around with a camera?" I shrug. "What's the point? She's going to do what she's going to do." Tony stares at me like I've grown a second head. "Jesus, Nick. Most guys would be planning to key the other guy's car by now." Most guys aren't married to Isabelle Harlan. Isabelle Daley. Tony corrects. Is she, though? I ask. Because lately it feels like I'm the one who married into her family, not the other way around. That's the thing about marrying up. Everyone assumes you're the lucky one, that you should be grateful for the privilege. And maybe I was, at first. Izzy was this bright, beautiful woman who somehow chose me over all the trust fund kids and investment bankers chasing after her. I felt like I'd won the lottery. Now I'm starting to wonder if I'm the one who's been played. Tony's phone buzzes, and he checks it with a frown. Speaking of your wife, she just posted on Instagram. Wine bar looks pretty fancy. I don't ask to see the photo. I don't need to. I already know Izzy's social media strategy. Document everything. Make it look perfect. Keep the brand alive. That's what our marriage has become. A brand. The successful IT guy and his gorgeous PR wife living their best life in their Boston penthouse. You want to know something funny? I say. I actually love her. Still, even knowing what she's doing. That's not funny, Nick. That's just sad. Maybe he's right. But love isn't logical, and neither is marriage. You make promises to someone, and you hope they'll keep theirs. When they don't, you have choices. You can scream and cry and make a scene, or you can wait and watch and plan. I've always been better at planning. My laptop chimes with an email notification. It's from Richard Harlan, sent at almost 10 p.m. on a Friday night. The man's 72 and still working harder than his son ever has. Nick, can we meet Monday morning? Need to discuss some financial matters regarding the company. Nothing urgent, but I'd value your input. Richard. I forward the email to my accountant with a note to review the Harlan Industries files. Richard's been asking for my advice more often lately, especially about technology upgrades and cost-cutting measures. The company's been struggling with cash flow, and I've been helping where I can. Actually, I've been doing more than helping. Last month, I quietly provided a $2 million loan to keep them from defaulting on their equipment financing. Richard was embarrassed to ask, but family is family, even if his daughter doesn't seem to remember that anymore. Tony finishes his beer and stands up. You need anything, you know where to find me. And Nick, whatever you're planning, because I know you're planning something, just remember that revenge is a dish best served legal. After he leaves, I sit in the dark for a while, watching the city lights reflect off the river. Somewhere out there, my wife is probably laughing at another man's jokes, touching his arm, making plans I'm not part of. The thought should make me angry, but mostly I just feel tired. My phone buzzes with a text from Izzy. Having so much fun. Don't wait up. XOXO. I text back. Glad you're enjoying yourself. Love you. Because I do. That's the hell of it. I love her enough to let her think she's getting away with it. I love her enough to keep paying for the life she wants while she figures out if she wants it with me. But love has limits, and patience has an expiration date. I'm just waiting to see which runs out first. Saturday morning arrives with the kind of hangover energy that follows a night of too much truth and not enough sleep. Izzy stumbles in around 2:30 a.m., reeking of expensive perfume that isn't hers and wine that costs more than most people's rent. She mumbles something about Lauren's Uber getting lost before collapsing into bed without bothering to wash off her makeup. Now she's nursing coffee and wearing sunglasses indoors like some kind of celebrity hiding from paparazzi. The irony isn't lost on me. How was girls' night? I ask, making pancakes because I'm apparently a glutton for punishment. Good, really good. She's scrolling through her phone, probably checking to see if anyone tagged her in compromising photos. Amanda got a little too drunk and started telling stories about her ex-husband's gambling problem. You know how she gets. I do know how Amanda gets. She's got enough dirt on Boston's social scene to blackmail half of Beacon Hill, and she's not shy about sharing when the wine flows freely. It's one of the reasons I've always been careful around Izzy's friends. They collect secrets like some people collect stamps. Lauren seemed quiet in her stories, I observe, flipping a pancake. Everything okay with her and James? James Morrison is Lauren's husband of 3 years, an investment banker who works 80-hour weeks and has the personality of wet cardboard. But he's got money and looks good in photos, which apparently checks all the necessary boxes. Izzy's hand freezes over her phone for just a second. Why would you ask that? No reason. Just noticed she hasn't been posting as much couple content lately. It's a lie. Lauren's been posting constantly, but it's all solo shots and living my best life captions. In social media terms, that's usually code for my marriage is imploding, but I'm pretending everything's fine. I'm sure they're fine, Izzy says, but she won't meet my eyes. That's when I know it's not just my marriage that's falling apart. The whole friend group is cracking, and they're all keeping each other's secrets. It's like some twisted version of mutually assured destruction, except instead of nuclear weapons, they're armed with Instagram accounts and too much information about each other's personal lives. My phone rings, interrupting the domestic tableau of dysfunction. It's Richard Harlan. Nick, sorry to bother you on a Saturday, but I wanted to move up our meeting. Can you come in this afternoon? Something's come up that can't wait until Monday. I glance at Izzy, who's suddenly very interested in her pancakes. Of course, Richard. Is everything all right? We'll discuss it when you get here. And Nick, don't mention this to Isabelle just yet. I want to talk to you first. The line goes end, leaving me staring at my phone and wondering what fresh hell is about to unfold. In my experience, when your father-in-law asks you not to tell your wife something, it's because your wife is the problem. Who was that? Izzy asks, though her casual tone doesn't fool me. Work stuff? I need to go into the office for a few hours. On Saturday? That's unusual. Server issues don't respect weekends. It's another lie, but we're both getting good at those lately. An hour later, I'm sitting in Richard Harlan's office, which still smells like the cigars he's not supposed to smoke since his heart attack 2 years ago. The man looks older than his 72 years, with gray hair that's gone white at the temples and worry lines that seem to have deepened since I last saw him. Nick, I'm going to be direct because I don't have time for subtlety. The company's in trouble. Real trouble. I lean forward. How much trouble? We're looking at bankruptcy within 6 months if we can't secure additional financing. The loan you provided last month bought us time, but it's not enough. This isn't entirely surprising. I've been reviewing their books for months, watching the cash flow problems get worse. But Richard's been optimistic, always talking about new contracts and market opportunities. Hearing him admit defeat is like watching Superman discover kryptonite. What about the Peterson contract? I thought that was going to turn things around. Richard's face darkens. That's what I wanted to discuss with you. We lost it. The client went with a competitor at the last minute, citing concerns about our financial stability. How would they know about our financial stability? That's exactly what I want to know. The information they had was detailed, too detailed. Someone with inside knowledge has been talking. The pieces start clicking together in my head like a puzzle I don't want to solve. You think it's someone in the company? I think it's someone with access to confidential information who might not understand the consequences of sharing it. He pauses, studying my face. Nick, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Has Isabelle been asking questions about the business lately? My stomach drops. What kind of questions? Financial details, contract information, client lists. Danny mentioned she's been unusually interested in company operations. I think back over the past few months, remembering casual conversations over dinner, Izzy asking about my work with her father's company. At the time, I thought she was just being supportive, showing interest in something that mattered to me. Now I'm wondering if she was mining for information. She's asked some questions, I admit, but nothing that seemed out of line for family conversation. Richard nods grimly. I'm not accusing her of anything intentional, but Isabelle has always been social. She likes to talk, especially when she's had a few drinks, and lately she's been spending a lot of time with people outside our usual circle. What people? That's what I was hoping you could tell me. I could tell him about the late nights and the lies and the way she's been acting like a stranger in her own life. I could tell him that his daughter is having an affair with someone who might be using her for information. I could tell him a lot of things. Instead, I say, I'll look into it. I appreciate that, Nick. And I want you to know, whatever happens with the company, your family, that loan you gave us, I know it wasn't easy, and I know you did it out of loyalty. If we go under, I'll make sure you get your money back, even if I have to sell everything I own. That's when I realized just how bad things are. Richard Harlan is a proud man who spent 40 years building his company from nothing. The fact that he's talking about selling everything means he's already given up hope. It won't come to that, I tell him, though I'm not sure I believe it myself. I hope you're right. But Nick, if someone is leaking information, we need to find out who and stop it. The company can't survive much more damage. I drive home through Boston traffic, my mind racing through possibilities and implications. If Izzy is unknowingly feeding information to someone who's using it to sabotage her father's company, then she's not just cheating on me, she's destroying her own family's legacy. The question is, does she know? Back at the apartment, I find Izzy getting ready for another evening out. This time it's dinner with a college friend who's in town for the weekend. Anyone I know? I ask. I don't think so. Derek Price. We dated briefly before I met you. Derek Price. The name hits me like a punch to the gut because I do know that name. I've seen it in my research on companies that compete with Harlan Industries. Derek Price is a venture capitalist who specializes in distressed acquisitions, buying struggling companies for pennies on the dollar and either turning them around or stripping them for parts. Derek Price from Beacon Capital? I ask, keeping my voice casual. Izzy freezes with her earring halfway to her ear. You know Derek? I know of him. His firm's been in the news lately for some aggressive acquisitions. It's just dinner, Nick. We're old friends catching up. Of course, have fun. But as she leaves, I'm already opening my laptop and diving into everything I can find about Derek Price and his business practices. What I discover makes my blood run cold. Derek Price doesn't just buy distressed companies, he creates them. His firm has a pattern of targeting family businesses, gathering inside information through social connections, and then systematically destroying their market position until they're desperate enough to sell. And his latest target, based on the research I can find, appears to be Harlan Industries. My wife isn't just having an affair, she's sleeping with the enemy. Sunday morning feels different. Maybe it's the way Izzy hums while making coffee, or how she keeps checking her phone with a smile that used to be reserved for me. She's practically glowing, which would be sweet if I didn't know she was glowing because of another man. Good dinner last night? I ask, buttering toast with the kind of casual precision that comes from years of practice at hiding what I really think. Really good. Derek's doing so well for himself. You'd probably like him. He's got that same dry sense of humor you do. I doubt that. Men who destroy family businesses for profit rarely share my appreciation for self-deprecating wit. But I just nod and make interested sounds while she tells me about Derek's success and his beautiful apartment in Back Bay and his vintage Porsche. He's thinking about investing in some local businesses, she continues, and there it is, the hook, baited and ready. I told him about Dad's company. He seemed really interested. I'm sure he did. Izzy doesn't catch the sarcasm. She's too busy reliving whatever fantasy Derek sold her over dinner. I wonder if he told her she was beautiful or special or wasted on a guy like me. I wonder if he made her feel like the center of the universe the way I used to. I wonder if she has any idea she's being played. My phone buzzes with a text from Tony. Coffee? Got some information you might find interesting. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting across from Tony at a cafe in Cambridge, watching him scroll through notes on his phone like he's preparing for a court case. So I did some digging on your boy Derek Price, he says without preamble. Guy's got quite a reputation. What kind of reputation? The kind that makes divorce lawyers rich. He's been married twice, engaged 3 times, and currently has a girlfriend who's been posting couple photos on Instagram for the past 8 months. He shows me the screen. Derek Price, looking like he stepped out of a men's fashion magazine, with his arm around a brunette who could be a model. The photos span months, tagged at expensive restaurants and vacation destinations. The most recent one is from yesterday, the same day he was having dinner with my wife. Her name's Victoria Ashworth, Tony continues. 29, works in marketing, apparently has no idea her boyfriend is moonlighting as a homewrecker. Maybe they have an open relationship. Tony gives me a look that suggests I'm being naive. Nick, this guy's playing chess while your wife thinks they're playing checkers. Look at this. He shows me another photo, this one from Derek's LinkedIn profile. He's shaking hands with a man I recognize as the CEO of Morrison Manufacturing, a company that went from family-owned success to bankruptcy sale in less than a year. Morrison Manufacturing, I say. That's the same pattern, yeah. Derek's firm bought them for about 30 cents on the dollar after their market position mysteriously collapsed. Turns out the CEO's daughter had been dating someone who was very interested in their business operations. The pieces are falling into place with the kind of clarity that makes you wish you were still confused. Derek Price has done this before. He finds family businesses, identifies the weak links, usually someone young and social and eager to impress, and then uses them to gather the intelligence he needs to destroy the company from within. How many times has he done this? That I can prove? 4 times in the past 6 years. Always the same pattern. Always family businesses with attractive daughters or daughters-in-law who like to talk. I stare at the photos, feeling something cold and sharp settle in my chest. It's not just anger, though. There's plenty of that. It's the realization that my wife, the woman I've loved for 6 years, the woman I've supported and protected and provided for, is about to destroy her own family because she's too flattered by the attention to see what's really happening. There's more, Tony says. I checked the timeline. Derek started following your wife on Instagram about 2 months ago. Same time frame as when Harlan Industries started losing contracts. Bastard. Gets worse. I talked to a guy I know in corporate security. Word is that Derek's firm has been building a position to make an offer on Harlan Industries. They're just waiting for the price to drop a little more. I think about Richard Harlan, sitting in his office yesterday, talking about selling everything he owns to pay back the money I loaned him. I think about Danny, useless as he is, losing the only job he's ever had. I think about the 53 employees who work at that company, most of them for over a decade, who have no idea their livelihoods are being traded for whatever lies Derek whispers in my wife's ear. What are you going to do? Tony asks. That's the question, isn't it? What do you do when you discover that your marriage is a casualty of war you didn't even know you were fighting? What do you do when the person you love most in the world is being used as a weapon against her own family? I'm going to stop it, I say. How? I think about that for a moment, running through options and possibilities. I could confront Izzy directly, but she's too deep in Derek's spell to listen to reason. I could go to Richard, but that would destroy his relationship with his daughter. I could try to expose Derek's pattern publicly, but that would take time we don't have. Or I could fight fire with fire. I'm going to give Derek exactly what he wants, I tell Tony, right up until the moment I don't. That afternoon, I'm back in my home office, surrounded by 3 monitors and enough caffeine to power a small city. If Derek Price wants to play games with information warfare, he's picked the wrong IT architect to mess with. I start by documenting everything I can find about Derek's business practices, his personal life, and his current financial position. Then I dig into Beacon Capital's recent acquisitions and their methods of operation. What I find is a pattern so consistent, it's almost boring. Identify target, seduce insider, gather intelligence, manipulate market conditions, acquire at discount, profit. The only variable is the timeline. Some companies took 2 years to break down, others as little as 6 months. Harlan Industries, thanks to Derek's inside information from Izzy, is on the fast track. But Derek has made one crucial mistake. He's assumed that I'm just another clueless husband, too trusting or too stupid to see what's happening under my own roof. He's counted on me being a non-factor in his equation. He's about to learn why that was a bad assumption. I spend the next 4 hours building what I like to call an information bomb. It's a comprehensive dossier on Derek Price, his business practices, his personal life, and his current scheme to acquire Harlan Industries. Everything documented, everything legal, everything devastating. But information is only as good as your delivery system. And for that, I need help from someone with a very specific skill set. I pick up my phone and call Amanda Hartwell. "Nick," she answers on the second ring, sounding surprised. "This is unexpected. Is everything okay with you and Izzy?" Amanda might be a privileged socialite with too much time and money, but she's also got the biggest mouth in Boston and a network of contacts that would make a CIA operative jealous. If I want information to spread fast and far, she's my nuclear option. "Everything's fine," I lie. "I was actually calling about something else. You know a lot of people in the investment community, right?" "Some. Why?" "I'm thinking about making some investments, and I wanted to get opinions on different firms. Have you ever heard of Derek Price or Beacon Capital?" There's a pause, and I can almost hear Amanda's gossip sensors activating. "Derek Price? Oh, honey, you don't want to go anywhere near that mess." "What mess?" "Well, I probably shouldn't say anything, but..." Of course she's going to say something. Amanda has never met a secret she could keep. Derek's got quite a reputation around town. Serial dater, commitment issues, and there are rumors about his business practices. Nothing proven, you understand, but whispers. What kind of whispers? The kind that suggest he's not as ethical as his marketing materials claim. Plus, I heard through the grapevine that he's been sniffing around some local family businesses, looking for distressed acquisitions. You know how these vulture capitalists operate. Interesting. Anyone I might know? Well, I hate to say it, but I think your father-in-law's company might be on his radar. I saw Derek having dinner with Izzy last night, and you know how she likes to talk about family business when she's had a few drinks. And there it is. Amanda's already connected the dots, or at least some of them. She knows Derek is targeting Harlan Industries. She knows he's using Izzy to get information, and she's just waiting for someone to confirm her suspicions so she can start spreading the word. That's concerning, I say carefully. Oh, I'm sure it's nothing serious. Derek's probably just being friendly. But Nick, if you're looking for investment advice, I'd be happy to introduce you to some people with better reputations, people who don't have to wine and dine other men's wives to get their business intelligence. After I hang up, I sit back and smile for the first time in weeks. Amanda Hartwell just became my unwitting accomplice. By tomorrow morning, half of Boston's social scene will know that Derek Price is targeting Harlan Industries and using Isabelle Daley to do it. But that's just the opening move. Derek wants to play games with my family's livelihood and my marriage? Fine. Let's play. I open my laptop and start typing an email to Richard Harlan. It's time to let him know exactly what his daughter's old friend is really after. And it's time to set a trap that Derek Price will never see coming. The game is about to change, and this time, I'm the one holding all the cards. Monday morning arrives with the kind of crisp October air that makes Boston feel like a postcard. I'm sitting in Richard Harlan's office again, watching him read through the dossier I've prepared on Derek Price. His face goes through several expressions: confusion, anger, disbelief, and finally, a cold fury I've never seen before. "This bastard has been using my daughter," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. "It appears that way." "And she has no idea?" "I don't think so. Derek's very good at what he does. He makes it feel like romance while he's really conducting corporate espionage." Richard sets down the papers and stares out his office window at the factory floor below. 53 employees going about their Monday morning routines, unaware that their jobs hang in the balance of a scheme orchestrated by a man who sees them as collateral damage. "What do you want to do?" I ask. "I want to kill him," Richard says flatly. "But since that's not legally advisable, I want to destroy him the way he's been trying to destroy us." "That can be arranged." Richard looks at me with interest. "You have a plan?" "I have several plans. The question is how far you're willing to go to protect the company." "As far as necessary. This is 40 years of my life, Nick. It's my legacy, my employees' livelihoods, and my family's future. I won't let some predator take it away because he's good at manipulating lonely housewives." The words sting because they're true. Izzy is lonely, even if she doesn't realize it. Our marriage has been running on autopilot for months, maybe years. We've been going through the motions of being happy while slowly drifting apart. Derek didn't create that distance, but he's certainly exploiting it. "Here's what I propose," I say, pulling out a second folder. "We give Derek exactly what he wants. We make him think his plan is working perfectly, right up until the moment we spring the trap. Over the next hour, I lay out a strategy that would make Machiavelli proud. We're going to feed Derek false information through Izzy, making him think Harlan Industries is in worse shape than it actually is. We're going to create artificial urgency around a sale, making him move faster than he normally would, and we're going to document everything he does illegally in the process. The key, I explain, is that Derek's been getting away with this because his targets never saw it coming. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. But we know what he's doing, which means we can control the game." Richard nods slowly. "What do you need from me?" "Complete trust and the authority to make some temporary changes to the company's financial structure. I'm going to need to move some money around to make this look convincing." "Done. What else?" "I need you to start acting like a man whose company is failing. Stress, worry, maybe a few comments to Danny about tough times ahead. Nothing too dramatic, but enough that if Izzy asks questions, the answers will support Derek's assumptions." "And what about Isabelle? When do we tell her what's really happening?" "That's the question I've been dreading. When do I tell my wife that the man she's falling in love with is using her to destroy her own family? When do I admit that I've known about the affair and done nothing to stop it?" "After we have Derek," I say. "If we tell her too soon, she might warn him, even accidentally. She's not thinking clearly right now." Richard's expression softens slightly. "You still love her?" "Yeah, I do. Even after everything, I still love her." "Then we'll get her back, and we'll make Derek Price pay for what he's done to this family." That afternoon, I implement phase 1 of the plan. I create a series of fake financial documents showing Harlan Industries in much worse condition than it actually is. Cash flow problems, defaulted loans, equipment failures, everything a vulture capitalist would want to see in a target acquisition. Then I leave the documents where Izzy will find them. She's home when I get back from Richard's office, sitting at the kitchen island with her laptop and a glass of wine. She looks up when I walk in, and for a moment, she almost looks guilty. "How was your day?" she asks. "Stressful. Your dad's really worried about the company. I've been trying to help him figure out some solutions, but..." I let the sentence trail off, shaking my head, like a man carrying the weight of the world. "What kind of problems?" I pretend to hesitate. "I probably shouldn't get into the details. Family business, you know." "Nick, I'm family too. And if Dad's company is in trouble, that affects all of us." She's right, of course. If Harlan Industries fails, it would affect us. The loan I made to Richard represents a significant portion of our savings. Our comfortable lifestyle depends partly on the consulting fees I earn from the company. Izzy has every right to be concerned. She also has every reason to share those concerns with someone she trusts, someone like Derek. "The cash flow problems are worse than your dad initially let on," I say, sitting down across from her. We might be looking at bankruptcy within a few months if we can't find additional investment or a buyer. A buyer? Someone willing to acquire the company and keep it running. But finding the right buyer, someone who understands the business and won't just strip it for parts, that's not easy. I can see the wheels turning in her head. Derek has probably already positioned himself as exactly that kind of buyer. Someone who understands family businesses, someone who would preserve Richard's legacy while providing the capital needed to save the company. Maybe I could ask around, she suggests. I know some people in the investment community through work. That's sweet of you, but this isn't really your area of expertise. You'd be surprised what I know. Actually, I was talking to Derek about investment strategies, and he mentioned that his firm sometimes looks at acquisition opportunities. Maybe I could feel him out about whether Beacon Capital might be interested. And there it is. Derek has already planted the seed, and now Izzy thinks she's being helpful by nurturing it. She has no idea she's being manipulated, no idea that every piece of information she shares is being used to calculate the minimum price Derek will need to pay to steal her father's life's work. I suppose it couldn't hurt to ask, I say. But Izzy, this has to stay confidential. If word gets out that we're looking for a buyer, it could panic our current clients and make things worse. Of course, I understand. She doesn't understand. She understands nothing about what's really happening. But that's okay, because understanding isn't part of her role in this play. Her role is to be the unwitting messenger, carrying information back and forth between Derek and me while I control exactly what messages get sent. That evening, while Izzy's in the shower, I plant the fake financial documents in a folder on my desk, somewhere she might accidentally see them if she happened to be looking for something else. Then I make sure to leave my laptop open to a spreadsheet showing Harlan Industries' real financial position, complete with highlighted cells showing projected bankruptcy dates. It's cruel, using her curiosity and her genuine concern for her family against her. But Derek started this game, and he's been playing it with my wife's emotions and my family's future. If he wants to use information warfare, I'll give him more information than he knows what to do with. The question is whether he'll be smart enough to verify what he's getting or greedy enough to take it at face value. Based on his track record, I'm betting on greed. My phone buzzes with a text from Tony. Heard through the grapevine that certain social circles are buzzing about Derek Price and his business practices. Amanda's been busy. I smile and text back. Good. Let them buzz. Phase 2 is already in motion. By tomorrow, Derek will be dealing with uncomfortable questions about his reputation, while also processing the intelligence he's getting from Izzy about Harlan Industries' desperate financial situation. He'll be forced to move faster than he normally would, which means he'll make mistakes. And when he makes those mistakes, I'll be waiting. The trap is working better than I expected. Over the next 3 days, I watch Derek Price's carefully orchestrated seduction campaign shift into overdrive. Izzy comes home from their casual coffee meetings with increasingly detailed questions about Harlan Industries' operations, client lists, and financial projections. She thinks she's being subtle, but subtlety has never been Izzy's strong suit. She asks about specific contracts Derek couldn't possibly know about unless someone had told him. She inquires about equipment valuations and real estate holdings with the kind of precision that suggests she's working from a list. Meanwhile, Amanda Hartwell's gossip network has been doing its job. Derek's reputation is taking hits from multiple directions. I hear through Tony that Derek had to cancel a client meeting because someone asked uncomfortable questions about his acquisition methods. His girlfriend Victoria is apparently getting curious about why Derek keeps having business dinners with married women. But the real fireworks start on Thursday evening, when Lauren Morrison shows up at our apartment unannounced and clearly drunk. "We need to talk," she announces, pushing past me into the living room where Izzy is curled up on the couch with her laptop. "Lauren, what's wrong?" Izzy asks, closing her computer quickly. Too quickly. "What's wrong is that my marriage is falling apart. and apparently I'm the last person in Boston to know why. I retreat to the kitchen, but I can hear every word. Lauren's voice carries when she's upset, and she's very upset. James has been asking questions, Lauren continues. Apparently, someone's been spreading rumors about our finances, about problems with his firm, about me having affairs. Someone's been feeding information to his competitors and making us look unstable. That's terrible, Izzy says, but her voice sounds strained. Do you know who? That's what I want to know, because the rumors started right around the time you started spending so much time with Derek Price. And Derek Price has a reputation for using social connections to gather intelligence on companies he wants to acquire. There's a long silence. I can picture Izzy's face, the way she looks when she's trying to process information that doesn't fit her worldview. Lauren, you're being paranoid. Derek's just a friend. Is he? Because Amanda heard from someone at the country club that Derek's been asking very specific questions about James's client list, questions that sound a lot like the ones you've been asking me about James's work. I was just making conversation. Were you? Or were you gathering intelligence for your boyfriend? He's not my boyfriend. The denial comes too fast, too loud. Lauren laughs, but it's not a pleasant sound. Right. You're just having dinner with him 3 times a week and texting him constantly because you enjoy his conversation. Izzy, I've known you for 15 years. I know what you look like when you're falling for someone. Even if I were interested in Derek, which I'm not saying I am, that doesn't mean I'm some kind of corporate spy. Doesn't it? Because here's what I think happened. Derek targeted you because you're married to someone with access to your father's company. He made you feel special, made you feel like you were more than just Nick's wife and Richard's daughter, and you started sharing information because you wanted to impress him. I have to give Lauren credit. Drunk or not, she's nailed the situation with uncomfortable accuracy. That's ridiculous, Izzy says, but her voice lacks conviction. Is it? Then explain to me why Derek knows that James's firm is considering a merger, something that's supposed to be confidential. Explain to me why he asked Amanda about her ex-husband's real estate holdings. Explain to me why every woman Derek has dated in the past 5 years has been connected to a company that ended up on his acquisition list. You're being crazy. Am I? Or am I being smart for the first time in months? That's when I decide to make my entrance. I walk into the living room carrying 3 cups of coffee, playing the role of concerned husband, trying to diffuse a situation between his wife and her friend. Ladies, maybe we should all take a breath, I say, setting down the cups. Lauren, you're clearly upset about your marriage, but taking it out on Izzy isn't going to solve anything. Lauren turns to look at me, and her expression is pure venom. You know, don't you? You know what she's doing, and you're just letting it happen. I don't know what you're talking about. Your wife is having an affair with a man who's using her to destroy her own family's business, and you're sitting here playing the oblivious husband. Either you're the most trusting man in Boston, or you're part of whatever game Derek is playing. Izzy stands up abruptly. Lauren, I think you should leave. I think I should too. But Izzy, when this all falls apart, and it will fall apart, remember that I tried to warn you. Remember that your friends tried to save you from making the biggest mistake of your life. After Lauren leaves, the apartment feels like a crime scene. Izzy and I sit in silence for several minutes, both of us processing what just happened. She's drunk, Izzy finally says. She's having problems with James, and she's lashing out. Probably. Derek isn't using me. He's a good guy who's been helping me understand investment strategies. I'm sure he is. And I'm not having an affair. I look at my wife, really look at her, for the first time in weeks. She's beautiful, as always, but there's something desperate in her eyes now. She knows Lauren was right about everything, but she's not ready to admit it, not even to herself. Izzy, I say gently, if something were going on, you could tell me. We could work through it. For a moment, I think she might break. I think she might confess everything and ask for help and let me save her from Derek's manipulation. For a moment, I see the woman I married, vulnerable and scared, and looking for someone to trust. Then, the moment passes, and her walls go back up. "There's nothing to work through," she says. "Lauren's being dramatic, and you're being paranoid. Derek is just a friend who's been giving me advice about investments." "Okay, I'm going to bed." She leaves me sitting in the living room, staring at her laptop, which is still closed on the coffee table. I wonder what she was looking at when Lauren arrived. I wonder if it was the fake financial documents I planted, or if it was something else entirely. My phone buzzes with a text from Derek. "Heard there was some drama at your place tonight. Hope everything's okay." The fact that he knows about Lauren's visit within an hour of it happening tells me everything I need to know about how closely he's monitoring the situation. Either Izzy texted him immediately after Lauren left, or he has other sources of information about what's happening in my home. I text back, "Just friend drama, nothing serious." "Good to hear. Izzy's been stressed about her family's business situation. I've been trying to help her understand her options." There it is. Derek's making his move, positioning himself as the solution to problems he helped create. He's probably already drafted an acquisition offer, just waiting for the right moment to present it as a generous rescue rather than a hostile takeover. "That's kind of you," I reply. "The company could use some fresh investment. Maybe we should all sit down and discuss it. I'd be happy to take a look at the financials and see if Beacon Capital might be able to help. I'll talk to Richard about it." What I don't tell Derek is that Richard and I have been preparing for this conversation for days. We've got our own set of financial documents ready, real ones this time, showing Harlan Industries' actual financial position, which is much stronger than the fake numbers Derek has been receiving through Izzy. We've also prepared something else, a comprehensive dossier on Derek's business practices, his personal life, and his current scheme, complete with recorded conversations and documented evidence of corporate espionage. Derek Price wanted to play information warfare with my family. Tomorrow, he's going to learn what happens when you bring a knife to a gunfight. Friday morning feels like the calm before a hurricane. Izzy leaves early for a breakfast meeting that I know is actually another intelligence gathering session with Derek. She kisses my cheek goodbye, and for a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. She still has no idea what's about to happen. At 10 a.m., I'm sitting in Richard Harlan's conference room with Tony, 2 lawyers, and a private investigator who specializes in corporate espionage cases. We've got enough evidence to bury Derek Price professionally and personally, but Richard wants to handle this face-to-face. "He should be here any minute," Richard says, checking his watch. "Izzy called this morning to set up the meeting. Apparently, Derek has a proposal that could save the company." "I'm sure he does," I mutter. At exactly 10:30, Derek Price walks into the conference room like he owns the place. He's got the kind of confidence that comes from never being caught, never being outmaneuvered, never having to face consequences for his actions. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than most people make in a month, and his smile could sell ice to penguins. "Richard, so good to finally meet you," he says, extending a hand. "Izzy's told me so much about you and the company." "I'm sure she has," Richard replies, his voice carefully neutral. Derek turns to me with that same practiced charm. "And you must be Nick, Izzy's husband. I've heard great things." "Likewise." We all sit down around the conference table, and Derek launches into his presentation like he's doing us a favor. He talks about Beacon Capital's track record, their commitment to preserving family businesses, their ability to provide immediate capital injection while maintaining existing management structures. It's a beautiful pitch, polished and professional, and completely fraudulent. "Based on my preliminary analysis," Derek continues, pulling out a folder of documents, "Harlan Industries is facing some significant challenges, but nothing that can't be overcome with the right partnership and adequate funding." "Preliminary analysis?" Richard asks. "I wasn't aware we'd provided you with any financial information." Derek's smile doesn't waver. Oh, just some general industry research and conversations with Izzy about the company's operations. Nothing proprietary, of course. Of course, I say. What kind of conversations? Just casual discussions about the business. Izzy's very knowledgeable about the industry, and she's obviously concerned about the company's future. That's when Richard slides a folder across the table to Derek. Speaking of the company's future, I thought you might be interested in our actual financial statements. Derek opens the folder and I watch his face carefully as he processes what he's seeing. The real numbers. The actual cash flow. The genuine financial position of a company that's struggling, but nowhere near bankruptcy. This is different from what I understood, he says slowly. I imagine it is, Richard replies. The question is, where did you get your previous understanding? Derek's composure cracks slightly. As I mentioned, just general conversations. With my daughter, who's been asking very specific questions about confidential company information over the past several weeks. I think there might be some misunderstanding here. That's when I slide my own folder across the table. No misunderstanding, Derek. We know exactly what you've been doing. He opens my folder and goes pale. Inside are photographs of him with Victoria, his actual girlfriend, screenshots of his social media posts, documentation of his previous acquisitions, and the patterns of corporate espionage that preceded them, transcripts of conversations with his previous victims. We know about Morrison Manufacturing, I continue. We know about Hartwell Logistics. We know about every family business you've destroyed using this exact same playbook. Derek closes the folder and sits back in his chair. For the first time since he walked into the room, he looks like what he really is, a predator who's been caught in a trap. I don't know what you think you've discovered, he says, but I can assure you that all of my business practices are completely legal. Legal, maybe. Ethical? That's a different question. Richard leans forward. You seduced my daughter to get information about my company. You made her fall in love with you so she'd betray her own family. Izzy and I are just friends. Are you? I pull out my phone and show him a screenshot. Because this is a text she sent you last night. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I think I'm falling for you. Doesn't sound very friendly to me. Derek stares at the phone screen, and I can see him calculating his options. He can deny everything, but we have evidence. He can claim it was all innocent, but the pattern is too clear. He can threaten legal action, but he's the one who's been conducting corporate espionage. What do you want? He finally asks. We want you to disappear, Richard says. We want you to end whatever relationship you think you have with my daughter, stay away from my family, and never contact any of us again. And if I don't? I lean forward. Then we release everything we have to the business press, the SEC, and your girlfriend Victoria. We make sure every family business in New England knows exactly how you operate. We turn you into a case study in corporate ethics classes. You also might want to consider the personal ramifications, Tony adds, speaking for the first time since Derek arrived. Victoria seems like a nice girl. Probably wouldn't appreciate finding out her boyfriend's been romancing other women as part of his business strategy. Derek looks around the table at all of us, and I can see the moment he realizes he's beaten. He's probably never been in a room where everyone knew his game before he could play it. Fine, he says, standing up. You win. I'll end things with Izzy and move on to other opportunities. How? Richard asks. How are you going to end it? I'll tell her I'm getting back together with an ex-girlfriend, that I'm not ready for anything serious. She'll be hurt, but she'll get over it. No, I say. That's not good enough. Derek turns to look at me. What do you mean? I mean you're going to tell her the truth. You're going to explain exactly what you were doing and why. You're going to make sure she understands that none of this was real. That would destroy her. You should have thought of that before you decided to use her. Derek stares at me for a long moment, and I think he's finally beginning to understand that this isn't just about business anymore. This is personal. This is about my wife, my marriage, and my family. You want me to break her heart completely. I want you to tell her the truth. What she does with that truth is up to her. After Derek leaves, the conference room feels lighter somehow. Richard slumps in his chair like a man who's just fought off a home invasion. Think he'll actually do it? Tony asks. He'll do it, I say. He doesn't have a choice. What about Izzy? Richard asks. How do we help her through this? That's the question I've been avoiding. How do you help someone recover from discovering that their affair was actually a con game? How do you rebuild a marriage after your spouse nearly destroyed your family for a man who was using her? We'll figure it out, I say, though I'm not sure I believe it myself. My phone buzzes with a text from Izzy. Meeting went great. Derek thinks he can help. Coming home to celebrate. I stare at the message, knowing it's probably the last happy text I'll receive from my wife for a very long time. In a few hours, Derek will tell her the truth, and everything will change. The question is whether we'll be able to put the pieces back together, or if some things, once broken, can never be fully repaired. Either way, Derek Price is about to learn that there are consequences for playing games with other people's lives, and my wife is about to discover what happens when you trust the wrong person with your heart. The reckoning is coming, and it's going to hurt everyone involved, but sometimes that's the price of truth. Derek doesn't waste time. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, my phone is ringing with a call from Izzy. I can hear the tears in her voice before she even speaks. Nick, can you come home? Please? I find her in our living room, still in the dress she wore to celebrate Derek's business proposal. Mascara streaked down her cheeks like war paint. She's holding her phone like it might explode, and there's a bottle of wine on the coffee table that's already half empty. He lied to me, she says without looking up. About everything. I sit down across from her, maintaining careful distance. What did he tell you? The truth. Finally. She laughs, but it's the kind of laugh that's mostly sob. He told me he was never interested in me romantically, that he was using me to get information about Dad's company, that he has a girlfriend he's been with for months. Izzy, he showed me pictures, Nick. Pictures of him with her, going back to before he even contacted me. Vacation photos, dinner dates, couple selfies, all while he was telling me I was special. She takes a drink directly from the wine bottle, and I don't stop her. Sometimes alcohol is the only anesthetic available for this kind of pain. I gave him everything, she continues. Financial information, client lists, details about Dad's operations. I thought I was helping him understand the business so he could make a fair offer. I thought I was protecting our family's interests. Did you know what he was really doing? She finally looks at me, and her eyes are red and swollen. No. God, no. If I had known he was planning to use that information to lowball Dad, to manipulate the market. Nick, I would never do anything to hurt my family intentionally. I know. Do you? Because I've been lying to you for weeks. I've been sneaking around, having dinners with another man, letting him kiss me. She stops, covering her face with her hands. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is the moment I've been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. The moment when my wife realizes the full scope of what she's done, not just to our marriage but to her entire family. The moment when she has to face the consequences of trusting the wrong person. How long? I ask. How long what? How long have you known I knew? She freezes, wine bottle halfway to her lips. What? Izzy, I've known about Derek since the beginning. I knew about the dinners, the texts, the late nights. I knew he was using you to get information about your father's company. She stares at me like I've just told her the sky is green. You knew? And you didn't stop me? I tried to stop Derek. Your father and I have been working together to protect the company and expose what Derek was really doing. But you didn't stop me from making a fool of myself. You let me fall for him, let me betray you, let me almost destroy Dad's business. I let you make your own choices. Why? The word comes out as a scream. Why would you do that to me? Why would you let me humiliate myself like this? It's a fair question, and one I've been asking myself for weeks. Why didn't I confront her immediately? Why didn't I sit her down and explain what Derek was really after? Because I hoped you'd figure it out on your own, I say finally. Because I hoped you'd choose our marriage over whatever fantasy he was selling you. But I didn't. No, you didn't. We sit in silence for several minutes, both of us processing the wreckage of our relationship. Outside, Boston goes about its Friday afternoon business, oblivious to the domestic drama playing out in our expensive apartment. What happens now? Izzy asks eventually. I don't know. Do you want a divorce? The question hangs in the air like smoke. 6 months ago, the answer would have been an immediate no. 6 weeks ago, I might have said yes out of anger and hurt. Now, I honestly don't know. I want to understand why, I say. I want to understand how we got to the point where you were willing to risk everything for a man you barely knew. Izzy sets down the wine bottle and looks at me directly for the first time since I got home. Because he made me feel important. Because he listened when I talked, asked my opinions, made me feel like I was more than just Nick Daley's wife or Richard Harlan's daughter. And I didn't do those things? When was the last time we had a real conversation, Nick? When was the last time you asked me about my dreams, my goals, what I wanted out of life? She's right, and we both know it. Somewhere along the way, our marriage became a comfortable routine. We lived parallel lives in the same space, going through the motions of being happy without actually connecting with each other. That doesn't excuse what you did, I say. No, it doesn't, but it explains it. My phone buzzes with a text from Richard. How is she? I show Izzy the message. Your father's worried about you. Oh, God. He knows everything, doesn't he? About Derek, about what I did. He knows. He must hate me. He loves you. He's disappointed and hurt, but he loves you. Izzy starts crying again, the kind of deep, body-shaking sobs that come from realizing you've broken something that can't be fixed. I want to comfort her, but I'm not sure I'm the right person to do it anymore. I need to call him, she says. I need to apologize. Maybe wait until tomorrow. Give yourself time to process everything. There's something else, she says, wiping her eyes. Derek said you and Dad set him up, that you fed him false information to make him think the company was in worse shape than it really was. We did. So you used me, too. You used me to feed him fake intelligence. It's another fair point, and another question I've been avoiding. Did I use Izzy the same way Derek did? Did I manipulate her ignorance and her emotions to serve my own purposes? Yes, I admit. I used you. The difference is, I was trying to protect our family, not destroy it. The difference is, you're my husband. You're supposed to protect me, not use me as bait in some corporate espionage game. She's right about that, too. In my anger and my desire for revenge against Derek, I turned my wife into a weapon without her knowledge or consent. I'm not sure that makes me much better than Derek, morally speaking. I'm sorry, I say. You're right. I should have told you what was happening from the beginning. Yes, you should have. But I also should have been honest with you about Derek from the beginning. We both made choices that hurt each other. The wine and the emotional exhaustion are making her philosophical. Or maybe she's just trying to find a way to make sense of the mess we've all created. So, what do we do now? She asks again. I think we both need time to figure that out. Maybe you should stay at your parents' house for a few days. Are you kicking me out? I'm suggesting we both need space to think about what we want. Izzy nods slowly. You're right. I need to face my parents, apologize to Dad, figure out how to live with what I've done. And I need to figure out if I can forgive you. Can you? I don't know yet. She finishes packing a bag while I sit in the living room, staring out at the Charles River and wondering how we got here. 6 months ago, we were planning a vacation to Europe. Now we're planning a separation. Before she leaves, Izzy stops in the doorway and looks back at me. For what it's worth, she says, I never stopped loving you. Even when I thought I was falling for Derek, I never stopped loving you. I know. I never stopped loving you either. Then maybe there's hope. Maybe. After she's gone, the apartment feels enormous and empty. I pour myself a bourbon and call Tony. "How'd it go?" he asks. "About as well as you'd expect. She's staying at her parents' for a while." "You okay?" "No, but I will be." "What about Derek? Think he'll stay away?" I think about that for a moment. Derek Price is a predator, but he's also a businessman. He knows when a deal has gone bad, and he knows when to cut his losses. Yeah, he'll stay away. He's got bigger problems to worry about now. What kind of problems? The kind that happen when your girlfriend finds out you've been cheating on her as part of your business strategy. Amanda Hartwell made sure Victoria got all the details about Derek's extracurricular activities. Tony laughs. Remind me never to get on Amanda's bad side. Derek's about to learn that lesson the hard way. We talk for a few more minutes, but I'm distracted. I keep thinking about what Izzy said, about how Derek made her feel important and heard. I keep wondering if our marriage was already broken before Derek came along, or if he just exploited cracks that were already there. Either way, the damage is done. The question now is whether anything can be salvaged from the wreckage. Outside, the sun is setting over Boston, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It's beautiful, the kind of sunset that makes you believe in second chances and new beginnings. I just hope we get the chance to find out if we deserve one.